Hey Internet, my name is Abby and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program on Wings. We just have left the sphere of influence of Gilly and now we are orbiting around Eve. And yeah, this is a preparation for our burn back home to Kerbon. But at first I like to change a little bit our trajectory because I like to change our current inclination down to... Let's start it right now. I like to do it pretty early to a more or less equatorial orbit. I think this is a little bit more helpful if I'm doing something like this, that we are coming down to an equatorial orbit. Then of course I need to change again the periapsis so that we are getting 159. Yeah, this is good enough. This is almost then an equatorial orbit. Well, it's not so much of an inclination as before, and this is good enough, and this requires us only our 41.6 meters per second burn, so this is pretty easy. Let me search for the maneuver node and do the burn right away. And okay, let's turn around. And then, because I said already in the last episode that the return window has almost arrived, so we do have some times or some days left. We can orbit around Eve and we can use to think about our return flight, and then as soon as the trajectory or the return window has arrived, we are able to do the burn and we are able to leave Eve. And yeah, this is a pretty good preparation right now that we have already left Gilly, and yeah, now we are doing some preparations. Well, we can continue a little bit the burn. Let's eyeball it. And okay, this is good enough. Periapsis is at 200 kilometers, while we can lower it a little bit later on when we're getting closer to our apoapsis again. Wait, how close I am? Well, I can even do it right now. Let me just turn retrograde and lower a little bit our periapsis so that we are getting a little bit closer to Eve, and this is just because I like to take advantage out of the Oberth effect, and well, as faster as I'm flying, the less fuel I basically need, and that's why I like to get as close as possible to Eve. Okay, 115 kilometers is good enough. So we are set up, and now here we are prepared. We are now orbiting around Eve, and well, the next thing is now, as I said, we are a little bit away from our return window to Kerbon. In this case, I need to wait some days, and then I will bring you back in when we are ready to do our burn. Okay, here we are again in our orbit around Eve, and the return window has finally arrived. And yeah, our burn is unfortunately taking a little bit more or less mid-course, so we are not able to do this directly at the periapsis. We have to do it on in the mid-course on our way, well, basically out to the orbit of Gilly. But when we are able to do this burn, we will be on a direct flight up to Kerbon. And yeah, this is pretty cool. So we won't need any mid-course corrections. Well, we need some mid-course corrections to reduce our periapsis. But basically, we are then having a direct flight from Eve to Kerbon, and this is pretty cool. So yeah, this is now the idea. This is now the plan. And now let's start to prepare this, or let's start to do the burn. We need at first to turn our spacecraft around to the prograde vector. Let me do this. And okay, over here. Careful, careful. Oh. And okay, we are well aligned. I'm not quite sure how long this burn will take. Let me get a little bit closer, maybe to the 3-minute mark. And here. Okay, so time to start the engines and full throttle. Here we go, here we go. And yeah, the burn has an estimated duration of 3 minutes and 20 seconds. This is pretty cool. And this is now the final burn that will, well, basically start the end of our Eve expedition, because now we are leaving the Eve system and we are returning back home to Kerbon. And this is pretty cool. And yeah, so finish another expedition, and this is just amazing. And well, now, because it's now taking about 3 minutes, You know the deal, it's time for some time-lapse! Okay, less than 30 seconds to go with our burn. And well, look at the fuel, look at the fuel. We do have a lot of fuel left over in our mission. This is pretty cool. So this mission was really well planned, and I'm so glad that everything worked so well with this Eve expedition. We had enough fuel for our landing on the surface of Eve. We had enough fuel, well, we had more than enough fuel for the landing on the surface of Gilly, and yeah, even enough fuel. Oh, and let's cut the engine right now. Let us see, do we have? Yes, we do have our encounter. When I'm continuing, yeah, let's continue a little bit. Let's finish the whole burn. And cut the engine right now. Okay, it's a little bit hard to see. Let's remove this maneuver node. And yes, we do have Kerbon encounter, Kerbon encounter, Kerbon escape. We do have our trajectory, so we have a Kerbon encounter. Let us see. Focus view on Kerbon. So we are pretty far out, but this means we need to fix this later on. But I will do this when I have left the sphere of influence of Eve, and when I am on the trajectory around the sun, I will set up another maneuver node which will reduce our trajectory so that we do have a periapsis, well, not too deep inside the atmosphere, maybe around, let's say, 34 to 33 kilometers or so, so that it's enough to well, reduce or to get captured by Kerbon, but not so much that we are doing a direct re-entry. This would be a little bit dangerous, because, well, as I said, I want to have separated landings with my spacecrafts, and in this case I like to establish an orbit at first. And yeah, now we are on our way back out of the sphere of influence of Eve, and I like to focus view the view on Eve. I hope. Well, barely. Let me see. I want to switch at first to the landing, or well, to our flag we planted. Can we see a little bit? Yeah, we can. Whoa, what was this? Okay, we can see a little bit. Yeah, this is our flag. Over here is our science debris we have discarded, and down there you can see Aquarius 2 debris, and these are the debris from our launch. Here, as we left the surface of Eve, we had to separate, or we had to ditch several stages early on, and well, some of them have survived. And wait, can we? This is the debris. Okay, some landing legs have survived, some more landing legs, an engine has survived. Yeah, so in this case, some parts have survived here on the surface of Eve, and these are the leftovers from our landing, but the most important thing is, of course, our flag. And yeah, so some debris have survived the takeoff from our surface, and this is what I wanted to check as I'm now leaving. And now let's switch back to our Gilly expedition. Well, it's currently called Gilly expedition. That's okay for me. And our escape will happen in 13 hours. Can I get pretty close with my markers? Pretty helpful or pretty amazing. 11 hours, this is good enough. So now I do have a marker next to my nav ball, and now I can do a time warp to see how we are leaving Eve, and that we can wave backwards and wave back to Eve to say goodbye. It was nice to be with you, and it was nice to have a landing on you, but now it's time to say goodbye. We did everything we wanted to do, and yeah, now unfortunately it's time to separate. And well, we will maybe meet again later on, but right now it's time, as I said, to separate and to return back home after we stayed here for a while. Okay, only a few hours to go, and Eve is getting smaller and smaller as we are drifting away from it. Okay, now we are at our maneuver node. Let me just slow down a bit, and we are only 1 hour and 14 minutes away from our Eve escape. Let me get closer to it. 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, it should be only a matter of seconds until we have left the sphere of influence of Eve. Look how small Eve has become after we have left now this body. And here it was a great mission. It was a very nice mission to explore Eve and to land on the surface, and even to manage to leave the surface of Eve again. And yeah, this is so cool. I'm all the time amazed by all the possibilities you have in Kerbal Space Program. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see the outcome. Okay, and now the next thing is maybe... Wait. I like to... not in... Can't I access the blue? I want to access the... Oh, there was a blue trajectory. Really hard to access the blue. There was a blue again. All the time, shortly before I lose contact, I will get access to the blue oh, Kerbon encounter, 106, no. This is so bad. Why am I not allowed to set a maneuver node? Am I allowed to set a maneuver node? Maybe I need to zoom. Okay. When I'm having a maneuver node over here, can I then carry the thing over? And here I can carry it around. So maybe at this position in 27 days, and we will have our encounter in 31 days. So maybe a little bit earlier, maybe over here. And then, as a preparation, let us set the focus view on Kerbon. And, okay, what do we need to do in order to get closer to Kerbon? This is already in the right direction. No. Let's get it a little bit closer and closer, and can I... get it a little bit more down? Okay, maybe the position of this maneuver node is not completely ideal. Maybe I should do it a little bit earlier. Yeah, over here. This could be already quite helpful. And now we do have 1000 kilometers. No. I need to get closer. And 400 kilometers. Let me get this a little bit more closer. 213. 108. 59. 57. 32. This is almost ideal. Can I... No. Can I aim for an equatorial orbit? Okay, now I need to bring back my periapsis. 1 kilometer. No, this is still 47. Okay, I can eyeball this later on when I'm arriving there, or well, when I'm doing this burn. But here, in 22 days and 13 hours, we will have our next correction burn, which will then change our trajectory so that we do have a current periapsis of 47 kilometers. And then I can trim this a little bit more later on, so that we are coming through the atmosphere of Kerbon and we are hopefully getting captured by the atmosphere. And yeah, this is pretty cool. And now we are on our way out of Eve, and well, then there is I think maybe it's already the return window for the Dres probe, not for the Dres probe, but for the Dres Expedition. Let me just check this out, and I will bring you back in once I'm sure we do have already the return window also for the Dres Expedition. Okay, I was right. We are now in orbit around Dres, and we do have a launch window to leave Dres and to return back to Kerbon. And yeah, this is pretty cool. So now we can finish off the next, well, not finish off, but we can start to end the next interplanetary mission. Well, a few days have passed since we left Eve, and now it's time to throttle up. And how long that the burn will take? about 4 minutes 40 seconds, so I think we can get a little bit closer to the maneuver node, and around 2:30 or so is now a good position. Okay, now let's throttle up again. And now we are also about to leave Dres, and Kerbonauts is now able to leave Dres and to leave this cool planet. Now we are coming directly across our landing area, and we can have on our burn to leave this planet a new view, or a last view on the gorge we landed at. So we landed here, first landing on Dres, we landed at this position, then we took our EVA suit and our EVA jetpack to fly from here to the rim of this gorge to have a beautiful view inside this gorge, and I think this was one of the most beautiful landing areas I ever had in this series, I guess, because this was so interesting to see. Well, this is huge gorge and this is so interesting. Well, on the other hand, the moon has always pretty interesting things. To land on the moon and the huge craters or smaller craters and so on is pretty interesting as well. But for a celestial body, an interplanetary celestial body, this was pretty interesting and pretty amazing. And here, now we are leaving. And what is our trajectory doing? Our trajectory, once we finished, okay, we are already on a escape trajectory, will lead us at first to... it's hard to see because I have set up a second maneuver node, and the second maneuver node will then make sure that we do have an encounter with Kerbon and that we are able to return back home to Kerbon. And yeah, this is pretty cool. So the first thing is, well, at first to get on an initial trajectory out of Dres and towards Kerbon's orbit, and then we will later on change a little bit our trajectory in about 48 days. So that we are really returning back home. And here, Enfront is smiling, he is pretty happy, and we can have a beautiful view back to our landing area. This is really cool, this is really amazing to have a beautiful view back again to this celestial body we landed on. This is a little bit one thing I missed during the burn as I left Eve, because, well, we were pretty far out from Eve, and it was almost like a mid-cross direction burn we had to do. And, well, here we have a beautiful view back to the celestial body, and, well, this is all about, we are explorers, we are exploring new lands, we are exploring new regions in space, and so it's most important to see even these regions and to have a visual on them. And yeah, this is so amazing. And yeah, so very cool, very cool. This is pretty amazing. And yeah, now we are on our way out, and I think, well, this thing is pretty powerful again. And what about our fuel? Well, I think we do have enough fuel to return back home, especially because I brought over all the fuel from the lander and to the interplanetary stage, so we can take advantage of all the fuel. And when we are returning back home to Kerbon, we do have several options. On the one hand, we can bring back the leftover fuel into our lander to use it for our very own landing, or we can go for a direct approach and just undock from our interplanetary stage once we are getting closer to Kerbon, so that everything is disintegrating, so we even do not need any fuel. So yeah, as I said, we do have a lot of options, and so it doesn't matter that we are running out of fuel, or if we are running out of fuel. And in the worst case, we do have even some RCS, and this can be also quite helpful. And here, now we are returning, and I like to check one thing while we're doing the burn. Use stored data, mystery goo, keep it. Well, the gravity scan, yeah, we brought back as our Dres research probe arrived. Well, it now has only 1.2 signs for recovery, and well, all the scans, also the temperature scan, is now completely erased, and only the data we are getting from the servers are really important, but this doesn't matter. This mission was still a success, and I think we can bring back a lot of science data back home. Okay, and let's finish the burn. Okay, very good, very good. So, the next burn will come up in 48 days and 2 hours, but I have to close this maneuver again, because I think there will be a small change once we are leaving the sphere of influence, and then I have to set up the maneuver again. Okay, speaking about leaving the sphere of influence again, it will happen in about 5 hours. Can I just like to have... where... hey, I just want to have a marker. Okay, well, this is... Okay, I have to have an eye on the mission timer because I like to see how we are leaving Dres, and this is cool how the planet is getting smaller as we are on a trajectory to leave the sphere of influence. Okay, now it has become already pretty small, so I can go in here to follow this, because as usual I like to do the sphere of influence change pretty gently, so that there is not the change of any floating point error. This can all the time screw up your whole trajectory and screw up your whole plan, and here I like to diminish the chance for something like this. Okay, now it should be only a matter of seconds, and look how small Dres has become as we are leaving its sphere of influence. And especially this is pretty interesting because the sphere of influence of Dres seems is ending around 33,000 kilometers, and well, compared to Kerbon, the sphere of influence extends to 84,000 kilometers. So this is a huge difference, and already at 32 kilometers this planet is so small. And yeah, so a lot of things why this planet is much smaller than the moon. Okay, now I did the correction burn at the ascending node, and yeah, I now just want to change the trajectory at first, and then you see already we are getting closer to our trajectory, to our... what do we need? Do we need to speed up? No, I think we need to slow down. And a little higher maybe. Okay, you see this is a matter. Okay, we need to... what do we need? We need to get closer. Okay, there we have it. There we have it. Well, we can later on trim this orbit or this trajectory that our periapsis is lower. But here we will have in about 50 days a next burn, which will then bring us to a trajectory to return back to Kerbon. And yeah, this is pretty cool. Now we are set up, and well, I think because the next thing will be the arrival of our bomb expedition at Jewel, and I think this will be pretty interesting as well. So in this case, I think we should better end this episode right now before more interesting things are going to happen. It was a quite successful episode. Well, our Eve expedition is already a little bit far away from Eve, and is on a good way back home. Our Dres Expedition has left Dres, so yeah, a lot of exciting things happened, and yeah, so it's time for the next thing, and this is our Jewel expedition, but we will continue with this in the next episode. In this case, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will be joining me in the next episode when we are finally arriving at Jewel again. In this case, until next time, my name is Abby. See you!